delineation.
And I guess my question would be, is Heather able to continue as a community member and not as a school committee representative?
So the way that request has been asked of the select board, their response was to have the committee consider her staying on in one of your slots first. After you've made your decision, if you aren't going to continue on with her, then the chairs, and Pat's here in the audience, so I'm smiling at her, then the chairs can approach the select board again saying that this option has been considered and not pursued.
The select board's made a strong indication that they're trying to find some construction experience to fill that role.
So I agree with what has been said. I appreciate all the work that Heather has been given to the school committee and to the CMS building committee. I don't understand the rationale though for her representing the school committee. I would rather have a current member of the school committee fill that position.
Anyone else? I think that covers it, because we can't really hear from Mr. Booth. Okay, so we're just gonna move on to the next one.
So I need to be unmuted by the host again. Each time I drop connection, I'm denied the microphone and have to be re-entered. I do want to share that I have communicated with Heather and with Mr. Johnson at the select board that in my opinion, Heather is also ideally suited for some of the community advocacy that she has championed recently. And should she not be appointed by the select board, I very much hope that she would consider that, but that's certainly her decision.
Thank you, Court. All right. We finished with the middle school building committee. I think we are.
So do we have contenders for the school, middle school building?
Alexa?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Court is going to continue, if I'm hearing this correctly.
Correct.
Court's going to continue, and Alexa, because I do think that the building committee job is a big job, as is DEI. So I'm happy to have Alexa do that. I don't think it would be best for one of us to, to do both or anything like that. So, and I've stated my preference.
All right.
Great.
Okay, Climate Action Advisory Board, we now
I have a
have,
calendar.
oh,
Oh, that's funny. I have climate action.
I have Climate Action Board first and then calendar, but.
It's funny, court took
Yeah,
the same order. So.
So Fatima has expressed interest in vacating that spot and moving to sustainability. Fatima, can you talk a little bit about the Climate Action Advisory Board?
I felt that I could contribute more in a different area. Yes, I didn't feel that.
Not necessarily about how, but about
Yeah.
why you want to move to it, but just to inform people who might take in on that. What was the lift, I guess?
Yes, so they engage in advocating for policy, making recommendations to the select board in terms of environmental policy, and I hope you forgive me if I misrepresent this, but that was my understanding. They discuss climate action and they make recommendations to the town.
Okay. Is there a logic to having the same person serve on CAB as on the sustainability for any kind of consistency or?
In the past, there's been a CAB member, community member on this, my sustainability group, so the overlap is usually on their end, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't benefit.
If I end up on sustainability, I don't mind being on CAB as well. If it has to be the same member.
It doesn't
And
have.
It doesn't have.
Okay, that's
If
okay.
you need someone else, I'm happy to also jump in.
And it's just observing. It's not a member of the board.
Okay. Okay, so Tracy, what do you think? Or-
That's great.
Yeah, okay, great. Now calendar, it's by my count. So we have Alexa and Tracy on the
I think I'm
calendar.
out.
You're
I
out.
think
You're tapped.
I'm tapped.
Okay. Thank you.
And it's the calendar committee. Do we meet what? 5 times?
In a normal year, you
Yeah.
meet about twice in January. COVID had it all year long, the last year or two, but
Which is tweaks.
I expect normalcy.
They're not lengthy meetings.
They're not, no, they're about, we do it usually late in the afternoon when the teachers are out, and it's in half an hour to an hour.
And it's a good Zoom candidate, so,
It will be a Zoom, I'm sure.
yes. All right.
Do we just need one? We just
Yes.
need one there?
Yes.
And Tracy, were you willing to be?
I'm
Yeah, okay, all right. That's great. And then the sustainability committee. So Fatima's expressed interest in being there. Who else is on? So you said there's a member from CAB.
Overall, the point of the committee was to have a bit of a hub because there's a number of community groups, CAB being one of them. So many of the community groups have representation there. We also had teacher representation, student representation, school committee representation, and just really used it as a hub for all the work.
Okay.
That will be something that I'm bringing back to a higher priority. So expect it to be pretty active, but a lot of it was just information sharing, not necessarily the work being done in that group, but work being done by all the other groups and then being shared back.
Yes.
Okay.
And usually it was a late afternoon once a month.
So
Again,
yeah,
I think Zoom's likely to be the way we operate.
so you have each rep speaking about what their organization is doing.
Yes, and then it shifted to where we would bring up the priorities we had as a school district, and they became a resource to how to support those initiatives. Really great support on that.
Okay.
And is it mutual, does it go the other way to were there, sorry, Sarah, were there proposals from these organizations where they were seeking support from the school or involved?
Sometimes,
Mhm.
sometimes. It was much more school focused. That was actually the point, was to help us get our
Mhm.
initiatives accomplished. And sometimes they became the hands on the ground to help something actually happen. So it ebbs and flows.
Okay. Fatima's expressed interest in there, and I won't think anyone else has expressed anything, no?
I think all of us are interested in the
Yeah.
topic, obviously.
Sure, and of course, we'll be sharing out to the whole committee all
Yeah.
the work.
We currently Concord does not have a sustainability director, so.
And we're gonna be engaged in that process in terms of later this week.
And then at this point, well, the school committee DEI, it sounds like should we form a DEI subcommittee? It sounds like the people who are interested in that would be Alexa, Fatima, and
I think I'm good.
I'm sorry. Oh, no, sorry,
Come on.
I meant Tracy, Tracy circled
Tracy
here.
Cord,
Yes,
Fatima.
Tracy, sorry, Tracy.
That's okay.
Tracy, Fatima, and me, because I think we should have someone from Carlisle.
And we're all interested and we can
And-
specifically discuss
Yeah.
the
Of
structure.
course, we're all interested, it's like
And how we will
sustainability, it's
do
like
our work.
special ed, we're all
Yes.
interested in everything, but we do need to divide and conquer, our efforts.
Yep.
Okay, I think,
So,
yeah.
if by any chance it's too much for you, I'm happy to help out on
Okay.
the Carlisle side, because
Also,
whether
yeah.
we share,
Oh,
we share
can
some
kinda
of this,
talk about
yes,
that.
yes,
Yeah,
because your plate is
yeah,
full on
Yes,
both
yeah,
sides.
yeah.
Thank you,
thank
and
you.
we appreciate
Yeah,
your work.
Just before you leave, Liz, did you do adult community ed at the beginning or did I?
we did.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was first.
I
So-
think we could do a consent agenda for everything except for the CMS building committee
And DEI.
and DEI, yes.
I mean, I think we should just take DEI out.
Right, we're not voting on that today, we'll just
Should
have,
we go once more through the slate so everybody is understanding?
yes, please.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Yep, so I'd like to accept a motion to appoint Eva Mastupi for Adult and Community Education Liaison. Sarah Wilson for EDCO Advisory Board. Alexa and Cynthia as Concord Finance Committee Observers. Court as PEG Access Advisory Committee. Fatima, Court, and Eva to the Policy Subcommittee. Alexa and Court, well, Alexa being the agenda monitor for the Concord Select Board Observer. Court to the Concord Financial Audit Advisory Committee. Alexa, let's see, Alexa and Eva for CPAC. Sarah for Carlisle Board of Selectmen Finance Observer. Tracy to the Climate Action Advisory Board. Tracy to the Calendar Committee. And Fatima to the Sustainability Committee. That sounds.
Second,
Someone needs to make a motion to move that slate.
I move the slate as proposed.
I second.
All right. Okay, discussion? Roll call vote.
Anderson, I for both.
Booth, aye for both.
Morano, I for both.
Maestad, I for both.
Mustafi, I for region.
Rating I for both?
And Wilson for region.
Okay.
And then
I'd entertain a motion to appoint Alexa to the middle school building, the Concord Middle School Building Committee.
Is it awkward if I second it?
We need a motion.
I second it.
We need a motion.
I'll make a motion to elect Alexa in Court to CMS Building Committee.
Thank you very much. Second,
Second.
roll call please for Concord.
Anderson, I.
Booth, aye.
Morano, I.
Maestad, I.
Rating aye. And that is it.
And that is it, thank you. Okay, now we can move on to agenda 4, the public comment. Before you do that, can we introduce Heidi?
Yes.
Heidi first at this point.
Come on up.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Thank you for joining us.
come to the microphone.
Come here, Heidi.
Okay.
So I'll introduce Heidi while she's making her way up here. Heidi Harris is our newly appointed Metco Director. So we thought it'd be nice, I think a lot of you saw her on Zoom for her interview. and
Yes.
We thought there was an opportunity for an in-person welcome. So we invited her to come over this morning and just get a chance to see you all. This is very informal. She's not gonna prepare anything for you. She's still learning it all and getting acclimated and using July to do that, but we wanted to give her a chance to meet all of you the first chance. So welcome, Heidi. We're
Thank you.
really glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here. I don't know, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Good.
Yeah, we're good.
I'm glad to be here.
Tracy, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear her. Can you just state your name though? Heidi, I didn't get your.
Sure, it's Heidi Harris.
Okay, Heidi Harris. I did see it in writing, but I just wanted to say hello.
Well, thank you. Again, I'm looking forward to my time here in Concord, working with Lori and the administrative staff and the students. And, you know, I've heard good things, so I hope to, you know, be an asset to the team here in Concord.
You already have been. Summer school brought some children for her to spend some time with, and she's already supported kids and families and already off and running.
Your office will be at the high school.
I think I'm gonna bounce a couple of
Yeah, we're trying to,
places.
yes,
Oh, you might.
yes, but we wanna really
Yeah.
be sure, all Middle and Alcott are also
Awesome.
getting great time with
Yeah,
that.
this summer I stayed at Willard just because that's where
Yeah.
summer school was set up and, you know, just kind of squatted and all.
Yeah, you did it was helpful to us for sure.
That's good, that's good.
Yeah,
I
that's
hope we get
great.
to see you a couple of times at least this
Yeah,
year.
absolutely, anytime, let me know.
Good.
Willing to come in.
Well, welcome.
Thank you
So glad
very much.
Come and see us in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. We
All right.
appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, have a great day.
Okay.
Feel free to go, Heidi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So public comment, if you are a member of the public and you wish to speak, please use the raise hand button on Zoom or make yourself known in the audience in person. We ask you to state your name, your address, and please keep the comments to no more than 3 minutes. And with that, do we have any raised hands? We do in person.
Okay. Well, wait, we've got a person, come on up.
Come on up.
And the people on Zoom, we will get to you momentarily.
Pat Nelson, 52 Cottage Lane, Concord. I'm here from the Concord School Building Committee, and I just want to thank you for considering our request, and I want to welcome the next section of the School Building Committee. We're coming to a great meeting tomorrow. We're really getting into the meat of the project, and we're happy to have you with us. Our request was really just to make an effort to keep the communications piece going that Heather did such an amazing job with, and especially now that Katie is also going. But totally respect your decision, and welcome, Alexa.
Thank you very much. All
All
right.
right, Carlin Reed.
Hi, folks. Carlin Reed, 83%. I'm hoping you folks can hear me okay. I wanted to thank you very much for making the appointment to the PEG Access Advisory Committee. I currently am the chair of it right now. We have an exciting year coming up because we're starting our franchise renewal process. And part of that will involve being able to negotiate capital payments for improvement of the PEG studio and other PEG services. So I would really appreciate if the school could give some time to thinking about how you could use some more money. That's part of the discussion we'll be having over the next 2.5 years, really. But we're going to be starting that negotiating and the discussion in October. And the other question I have is, if possible, do you know when the studio will be allowed to open up again for student and adult use? And if you haven't made that decision, please put that on your radar. Thanks, that's it.
Yeah, I'll just respond. We have opened the studio, or at least I thought I had, so we'll double check that we started that process. I think initially we've allowed employees in, which has been the case all along, and then we were working this summer to allow the community in. And I'll just put a big asterisk next to that COVID's shifting again around us. So that's the intent right now, and we'll get that going.
Thank you. Do we have any other members of the public who wish to speak? Once, going twice.
I would
Okay.
like to speak, please.
Sorry.
I have, yes, there's something I would like to discuss that's not on the agenda. Just to put it on the record, it doesn't have to be discussed because it's on the agenda, but I just want to put it on the record. And I think it's critical and time sensitive. One has to do with the school committee emails. I respect the decision that has been taken recently. I wanted again to put it on record that it has not been discussed publicly. I do have questions about it. That's why I have not joined the new email. I wish I could ask questions. I have security questions and access questions that I would like answered before I can start using that email account. And again, to say that I do not want to own that email account before I have those answers, and that's why I haven't been using it. Unfortunately, the decision was that as of last Friday, emails to my personal account will stop, so I have not been receiving any school committee emails. I would like that to resume until we have discussed this topic. The second point, I wanted to remind our chair about our meeting calendar for next year. I did request an accommodation for April because it was the month of Ramadan. I cannot meet in the evenings. I asked whether we could reschedule those meetings for earlier in the day. I know your argument was that we need to wait for other calendars to coordinate with the town. I mean, we did put this calendar together without those, and I think I'm giving enough notice. I would like really to be accommodated so that I'm not missing the meeting.
We will have some joint meetings with the select board, so you'll be doing, a request to the town as well.
So those are scheduled for April.
But they might be regarding capital planning, but that's what I'm saying. It's pretty far to look out, and so I don't wanna, we'll certainly make an accommodation.
Okay, and I didn't want to wait too long till it's too short of a notice to accommodate anyone. Again, didn't want to put that on the record that I did make that request. So if you have, I did ask to put the email question on the agenda. It was not put on the agenda. I'd like to know whether it will be at some point, but I would like to have a public discussion about that in an open session.
So we weren't aware you had any concerns. You never sent us any concerns in email.
Yes, I did not want to discuss that in email due to open meeting law. I did say in email, please stop handling this subject in email. I would like it to be discussed in an open public session. But I did say that twice, I think, via email.
So this will be my second protocol question for the day. Does it constitute a sufficient critical action item such that we could vote today to formalize the school email addresses because we have a member who has effectively suspended communications. I do understand the logic of the Concord-PS.org email assigned to each of us. It makes us very transparent and makes our records more easily accessible should that be necessary. I think that logic is inescapable. It might be a nuisance for us to have another email account, but so be it. Does this rise to the level of an emergency item such that I could move to approve the school committee acceptance of the school email accounts?
Yes, this is the first time that I'm hearing of the reasons about the security issues being involved. And I don't, given that I don't know the questions about that, I have not been able to be in touch with anybody to get those. I don't know if have you reached out to anyone in IT to ask your security questions of them?
Again, due to open meeting law, I wanted to respect the spirit of open meeting law and discuss it here first.
I'm sorry, I sent an email to you, Fatima, this past week. Have you received my email? It went to your email address.
Yes, again, I did not want to engage in conversations about this via email, again,
So
to
Mr.
respect the spirit of open meeting law.
So Mr. Booth has a question on the table. I can't consult with that parliamentarian, but this might be an acceptable emergency.
I think so. I think that communications is an essential part of our operation.
Absolutely critical, yeah, in fact.
But do we need to have the conversation, the discussion, the deliberation?
So we can perhaps then I'll make the motion and then we can commence with any necessary discussion. I do want to be mindful of our time, but this is important. I move that the Concord and Concord-Carlisle school committees formally adopt and approve the Concord-PS.org email addresses and the supporting logic and rationale.
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Okay, so yes, I have questions. I do respect and understand, again, the logic and the rationale. My questions are about security. I would like to know whether there is first a user agreement that district employees do sign before they start using this email, and whether that's available to us. And I would like to know who has access to our email. Again, it is a district email. It is meant to be accessible. I'd like to know who has access to our emails. And what is the protection against tampering with our emails? I mean, if it is accessible, how can you guarantee that it will not be tampered with?
What do we mean by tampered?
Again, if I'm thinking, if I don't own this email, right, this email account, I cannot take full responsibility for what happens with it. If anyone has access to it, they can go in and take actions on the email. Is that correct?
Take actions in terms of
Doctor your email.
accessing the emails or modifying your inbox or your sent box?
Yes, whether that is possible at all for anyone to do that other than myself.
So IT is gonna be able to access your accounts in terms of accessing emails that you send. Whenever, on a very rare occasion, if we've had to do any more than that, the only way to do it is to actually change the password. And they have control of the passwords and can reset those. There's absolutely no reason we would ever do that, that I could imagine, barring something extraordinary.
And IT does not know our passwords.
No, they do not know your password, which is why if we ever had to suspend the account, the only way to do that is to actually change the password. So they will not know your password, they will not be able to access your actual accounts, nor would they have any reason to. The whole point is that they can download emails if we get public records requests.
And that would be illegal to tamper.
Of course, of course.
Yes.
And I know I've done IT on the back end for organizations, and I can send password resets, and I can reset a password for someone if they have difficulty doing it, but I cannot see anywhere their actual password.
Yes.
No, correct.
And all of our emails are public record.
All right, so, go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, but just by way of background, if it's helpful to anybody, Dr. Hunter knows this full well. I have been eager for this for some time, and in fact, on a few occasions, have been required to show external parties that I did have a government email address. And so the district was willing to accommodate me, but it was a one-off solution for me. And this is a school committee public decision that I think benefits us and the public. I do recognize concerns about security. I think that is something that is true across any and all platform for anybody and everybody. Certainly recognize that, but I think the risks are minimal, and I think our district is very attentive to the risks that in fact we and every other person on ConcordPS.org potentially face. And I think we've got a pretty good track record behind us. I would expect IT to continue that record.
Yeah, I actually think you're gaining security because you're now behind all of our protections rather than the individual account where you're gonna get a notice that, you know, Google says you got somebody trying to get in or hacked your password. That is far less likely to happen now.
Great.
Okay, so again, part of the logic is it is a district domain. That means the district has access to these emails, right? This is part of the argument. Now, when you say that you cannot access unless you block it and change the password, so I'm not sure I understand the two. So
I'm saying that if you were concerned that someone might nefariously enter
Log in.
your account and send an email that you didn't send or modify your records in some way. I'm saying the admin can't do that without changing your password, in which case you would know that somebody had been in there, because when you go to log in with your password, it wouldn't be the right password anymore. So as long as you go in and change your password from the one that was given as the default one, right, the system administrator, whatever, right, when you go and change your password, there isn't anybody who sees what you did, you know, like what you, so no one can get into your account without it being obvious. And again, as Cynthia pointed out, very much legal.
yes, so how do I get notified if someone accesses it and changes my password?
I think you get an email. I mean, most
password
systems send you an alert that says, you know, your password has just been changed.
To what email address?
To that one.
But I can't access it because the word.
Then you would need to contact IT.
Well, you know that you can't get to your email, like, you know, like if you go to refresh your inbox and you can't refresh it because the password's been changed. Then I don't think we do.
This is an IT
I think that this is a conversation. I mean, I appreciate the concerns, but I don't know how to assure you that
We need to do this to be in compliance with the law. Period.
Okay, so yes, I understand that, absolutely. So like I said, this question remains unanswered. If I don't try to access my password in the 24-hour period, right? And my password has been changed, noon today and I don't try to access it for 24 hours. So anything can happen, can be done within those 24 hours until next time I try to log in, then I realize it has been accessed and the password is
And that can happen with your personal.
Yeah, that could happen on your
as well.
Gmail account as it is.
Yes, but Gmail would send me an email to my Outlook to tell me that my Gmail has been hacked.
Well,
So
then,
here,
and you
what's
can
the
set up
alternate?
email forwarding from your PS, from your Concord PS, and
Yeah,
then you'll get notifications. But and I'm just gonna go the extra step, that just if someone hacks your Gmail account and they change where the emails get forwarded, or the recovery address or whatever, if someone hacks your Gmail, they can change the recovery address at the same time. So I'm not gonna say that, yes, if someone hacks your email here, they can't change the recovery address, because of course, if somebody is savvy and does something like that, but the fact is that there'll be a record, there's a digital stamp.
Yeah,
of
and
when
we're
this
talking
happened.
about 3 employees who have probably the access to actually do that. They are employees of the district and must abide by all of the expectations of their jobs, which is to not do anything that they're not supposed to be doing.
And
We don't get hacked. These accounts don't get hacked the way outside Gmail accounts do. When you get you get those regularly with personal accounts. We don't have that issue because all of our security is so much tighter. So it really now is these 3 people who have access to your accounts, and the only way they have access is to reset the password. There's no reason they're going to do that. We need to trust our employees are abiding by the expectations we have of them.
As school committee members, are we privy to the names of those staff members?
I don't need to know those staff members personally.
But if I do need to know, am I able to have those names?
I can think that's a relevant thing. I do this in my district, and
Well, it's
you will contact the superintendent if you have concerns.
And again, if this were to happen, right, whatever, again, there'd be a timestamp of when a, I'm gonna call it ownership, but basically when a control of your account switches. So if something got sent out in those 24 hours, it's not that it would go back to you, because once you say, I didn't send this, then someone looks at the digital stamps and says, oh, look, a password change happened at this time, and and maybe then they can find I don't know. I mean,
We have a much bigger issue if we don't start with IT people.
yeah.
Folks, I'm not able to move the question, but I wish I could, because I think this really is no longer a business meeting anymore. I think this is an IT conversation. I do want us to be mindful of the time.
Absolutely.
That's great. I think that, I don't know what other assurances that we can offer, and having not known the technology questions that were surrounding this in advance, obviously, but beyond this, I suggest that we go to a vote and
Can I ask one last question?
And probably go to ask them.
So as elected school committee members, we are municipal employees. And I am suggesting that we have official emails with the town, which is concord.ma.gov, since we are employees of the town, not of the school district. I think that would make
Not all of us are.
No,
yes. So
We
for
were regional.
for the regional,
I can't.
we're all regional members.
Yes.
There's regional addresses as well.
yes.
So we can have 2.
Okay, so the high school is in Concord. Can we
No.
give?
I can't have, I'm not a Concord
No.
employee. I'm I'm
We're-
elected as a Carlisle citizen.
Distinct, separate entity.
Yeah,
So,
I don't swear in, Eva and I don't swear in Concord Town Hall, we go to Carlisle Town Hall. And I don't think that Carlisle's not, there's no way to get the Carlisle email address that's linked to the high school through the town of Carlisle, but yeah.
Okay.
What about the user agreement? Is there a user agreement? to sign?
It's embedded in the entire
Yeah.
user agreement, which includes all use of technology in the district. So that
It's
is
in our
available to
policy.
you now in the policy and in the handbooks you approve.
And so the school committee members signed that user agreement when started to use these eval
We
accounts.
have not had you do that.
We can.
Well, and one might argue that as the authority that promulgates policy, we in fact subscribe to our own policies. They are our policies. We require other people to sign our policies and abide by our policies. These are ours. So I think we could sign it, but I think it's a bit circular at that point.
So are we ready for a vote?
Interesting,
I think
sure.
So
Should I move the question, or do we need to, or we just vote?
I think you can, no, we've already.
I thought we had a motion
Oh, we did have a
We
motion, sorry,
second,
sorry.
right?
and we had a second.
And then we had a conversation, we had a discussion, and now we can move to vote.
Okay,
Roll call.
Anderson, I for both.
Booth, aye for both.
Morano, I for both.
Maestad, nay for both.
Mustafi, I for region, and thank you.
Rating aye for both?
Wilson for region,
All right,
okay?
back to our regularly scheduled program.
Reading of the minutes, like,
Okay.
take a motion to accept minutes from open sessions of 5:18, 5:25, 6:1, 6:8, 6:15, and executive sessions of 5:4, 5:11, 5:18, 5:25, 6:1, and 6:8, and 6:15.
Second,
You need a motion.
Oh.
Sorry.
um,
We'll get this done.
I can't make motions.
I move that we accept the minutes as stated by Sarah.
Second,
Discussion?
yeah, I would like to propose an amendment to the motion to the effect that the minutes, sorry, folks, that the minutes of June 8th be amended in regard to the appointment of the two assistant superintendents. I believe that my remarks were not noted in the minutes, and I would ask that the secretary reference the minute 186 in the meeting, where I did ask that the new assistant superintendents in time help us understand what the new roles, authorities, and compensation will enable on behalf of the public, on behalf of the public schools. This idea that more information could and should be forthcoming as to what this elevation will make possible for the district. So I'd like some brief reference to that in the record, please.
So can we pull out the minutes of 6:8 and not vote on them today?
Certainly, and Erin's here, so she'll revise those and give you a draft report.
I have every faith that just a simple addition will suffice. Thank you.
So we'll look for an amendment to remove the 6:8 minutes.
I move that we remove the 6-8 minutes from the motion.
Second. So we vote on the amendment after discussion?
Roll call, discussion? Thank you for it. And roll call.
Anderson, I for both.
Booth, aye for both.
Morano, I for both.
Maestad, I for both.
Mustafi, I for region.
Rating aye for both?
Wilson for region. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
So you just.
We have to now adopt.
But on the minutes,
Roll call on that.
Yes.
Anderson, I for both.
Booth, aye for both.
Morano, I for both.
Maestad, I for both.
Mustafi, I for region.
Rating aye for both.
Wilson for region.
There we go.
Great. Okay, chairs and liaisons reports. I'm just gonna start by saying that in Carlisle, we seated a new committee. That's our report, okay? And Emma and I are back here. We have a new chair, Jack Huntress, and, okay? And one new member, Carrie Patel, who is here as a member of the public
Oh, nice.
on Zoom.
Okay.
So, hi,
Excellent.
Carrie. And that's all I have to report from Carlisle, but
And I'll just quickly mention the select board meeting this past Monday about DEI. I know a few of us were there, and on Zoom, and more to come there. And the finance committee discussed a different process for guidelines and more to come there. more details.
Okay, are there any other?
No.
I didn't hear from. Yep, Gordon.
Oh,
On behalf of the building committee, I will note that there is a meeting tomorrow morning at 7:30. The packet was released shortly after 4 o'clock this morning and probably is already attached to the agenda, which is found through the link in our school homepage as well as the town calendar homepage for anybody preparing for that meeting tomorrow morning.
great, thank you, Court.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, correspondence. I don't think this is on the regional side.
We got correspondence about the rooms in the Berkeley School, which Dr. Hunt should address, and we did get correspondence from a potential candidate. And I believe that's it.
That's it, yep. Superintendent's report. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you. So I'm giving you highlights of summer activities. And I know you've read this, so I mostly will take questions. As always, staffing has got a little bit of fluidity in the summer as needs arise, some of which we identified as potential needs and knew it could play out or may not, as well as unexpected retirements and resignations. So all of that is happening just as always it does. It's important to me to name to you a couple of the needs that have been identified around numbers at kindergarten for Thoreau. We've had a section. We've been watching those K numbers very carefully. They were very low.
Right.
So we did cut knowing we might have to add back, so that's okay. We expected that could happen. A special educator at CMS for particular populations, and we are going to be adding a reading specialist to the high school. And that's going to be part of our discussion of literacy and early identification and intervention and services we're providing, trying to really fit kids' needs and close gaps. I won't get into all the resignations and such, but there's been enough movement that we're not really worried about where the money is going to land. I think we've been able to hire some on the lower end. We've had some veterans retire, so I think we are gonna be just fine. Jared will have all those numbers as it shuffles out late in the summer into the early fall. COVID, I'm just gonna name out loud, things are changing right around us again. I'm sure you heard the CDC yesterday announce recommendations for masks for everyone, which was not what we thought we were doing. So we're awaiting and expecting DPH and DESE guidance. I heard from the town officials, DPH told them to expect it August 1st, so we're hopeful it's imminent. I'm sure they're reviewing what happened yesterday as they prepare that. This is gonna be a fluid conversation for the month of August, so we're gonna take the input and then discuss locally. We'll bring that to you as we have it. I purposely didn't rush to this decision thinking it could change, and now that it is actively evolving, we're gonna, use that new information to make decisions. What we are sure of, let's make sure we say this clearly, full-time, everyone's in school, in person. I think the biggest discussion is around masks, it's around illness protocols and exactly which pieces we might nuance from last year. And then bringing you updates on what we might do for asymptomatic testing. We're also expecting imminent data from the state on what those options will be, state covered for expenses. So a lot more to come in August. Know it's on the radar and know we're actively watching and monitoring on board. Jared's gonna talk for a minute just on updates of the Thoreau fire and some of the other capital projects that are happening.
Great. So I'll start with the fire. So I will start giving an update on the fire. I gave you sent an email last week. Basically, we have made a lot of progress. All the walls are down, all the ceiling tiles are down, all the whiteboards were removed. We removed all the cabinets except for a few of them. I'm currently working with them and trying to find the as-built for the cabinets, if we can find those. If not, we're gonna bring in somebody that can try to replicate that. If we have to do that, I am told that there would be a delay on that, not a significant delay, but the lead time will be probably a few months, at least for the cabinets. We met with the teachers last Tuesday, all 8 of them. We are having 4 in tomorrow to take a look at all their items, set up their temporary classrooms. We do believe that everything has pretty much been salvaged, but once they see the items, we'll know for sure. Right now, they're in 10 pods being moved to those areas. We're having 3 people in on Friday, and then 1 we're trying to figure out early next week when she can come in. So that's good news. We are working, I'm continuing to work with the insurance company as well as Rebuildex. Right now, we're working on looking at options for tents, a 72 to a 96 person tent. Right now, it's like a wedding tent, and I was told yesterday that wedding tents are not supposed to be set for a long period of time. So we're trying to find vendors that are gonna come and service it every single week and restake it. So that's something that we're working with. We're also trying to figure out exactly where we're gonna be putting it.
And that would serve as an outdoor cafeteria, is the hope.
So this would have walls and everything, so hopefully if, when it gets a little bit colder, hopefully we're not displaced for too long, but when it gets a little bit colder, the kids can go up there for lunch. What am I missing?
I think I'll just be sure that everyone's clear in case public are listening. We are keeping all the kids at the row. We have, Angel has reorganized and created, our COVID skills came in useful, re-envisioned some spaces so that everyone has an adequate, maybe not perfect, but adequate space to reset their classrooms. I've been on a couple of meetings with the teachers, not all of them. Everyone's just absolutely getting creative, cooperating, collaborating, doing whatever they need to. This was after vetting some other options as to leaving the Thoreau campus, and we are sure now that we're glad that they're staying there. We're also glad that we made an early decision not to count on these classrooms. The good news with them at Thoreau is as the classrooms come back online, some are gonna come back sooner than others because of the amount of restoration. We'll be able to immediately funnel kids into whatever's ready, as it's ready. So it's all going fairly well for what it is. It's a major repair and renovation, no question. Holding offline 8 classrooms for months is very significant. We're being well supported, and Jared's doing a great job with the project management of all.
And lastly, next week I'll be doing a walkthrough with the inspector, the insurance company, doing an inspection of everything now that it's dried out. We were looking at the vinyl flooring in a couple of cabinets that they were able to salvage.
Okay.
So it's great. Any questions? Any more questions on the fire? Okay, so let me give you an update on where we are with some of the capital projects. I do want to start out by saying that Russ Hughes, our facilities director, has been managing this. It's probably been the smoothest capital season I've ever been a part of. He's just managing it and giving me updates as needed. So I'll start with the Willard well. Some of these are, well, all these are CPS. So the phase 1 has been completed. They drilled down 400 feet, yielding at about 35 gallons per minute. The phase 2 is going to be in engineering. We're going to be bidding that out. We're going to be bidding that out next week. We do expect this to be done by before the kids get back in school. So that's excellent. The exhaust boiler. So I'm talking about projects that were in FY20, town meeting FY20. So we're essentially a year behind. If we can do some of the projects, during the breaks, we'll try, but I think we're going to be a year behind, and then we can plan better next summer to maybe do 2 years at once. So if you remember last year, we had to extend the boiler exhaust at Willard. That is scheduled to be completed by the end of August before the kids get back, as well as the chiller. The old chiller at Willard was removed. We're just waiting on the technicians to program and test it. This will also be done before the start of school. The Alcott ERUs, this was quite a sight. We installed 6 ERUs. That will be done in the 3rd week of August. That has been going really, really smoothly. This company that we're working with is, Russ is saying they've been excellent to work with. Because as you know, we have other ERU projects coming up. This is something you have to bid out, but this current company we're working with has been excellent. So again, that will be done by the 3rd week of August. FY21's capital here at Ripley, the rooftop units, it's 4 of them through that green communities grant. We are doing the engineering that's currently in progress. We need the engineering before that can start. So that is probably going to be done by early fall, and then we need that to continue with the application in the fall. That, the little update on the electrical charging station. We have a scope of work and we're quoting that out for the engineering. So that is, that shouldn't take long, and we'll have to go out to bid on that. So that is not as big of a huge project, not as big of a project as I once thought, and we're managing that, and I'll give you an update on that either before the next meeting or.
And where is that?
At Knox Trail, the training.
Gotcha.
So,
Yes. I have a couple other things unless you have questions for Judy.
No, I have a question for you.
Do you want me to finish my report? 2 quick items. One is just the Successor summer school. We mentioned that when Heidi was here, 200 students or so, K-8 were all at Willard and about 25 at the high school, and really successful summer. And then, and this has been publicly shared, Ruby's giving me her resignation with a 60-day notice. So I'm actively and fairly successfully, I think, working on an interim director of student services with the intent that the interim would serve the 21-22 school year, and then with all of you, we would put together a search process this winter and look to permanently fill that position for a year from now. So we wish Ruth well. We know she's going to be a huge help to us through the transition, and hopefully plans coming together. Those are my-
Lori, a question if I might on that. I know that the special education director, student service director, and finance are a dual appointment. Is that true for an interim as well? I'm guessing not. That's an administrative prerogative where you have the authority?
Yeah, I actually reached out to Sarah and Cynthia for their opinion on that, and their thought was that it was what you just said, that I could do that and let you know how it was going as it happened because it's interim.
Good.
So
All right.
we're all in agreement, we'll operate that way.
Now,
Partly because these candidates are highly sought after, and I'm gonna be moving really quickly, and that'll allow me the flexibility to do that.
And we really couldn't do it in a public process, and it
Yeah.
just doesn't scale,
No.
because, these people are on the table and off the table.
I'm actually, recruiting away from another district right now, so.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thank you for asking. It's a good
Yeah,
question.
good question.
Good question. Oh, go ahead. I was gonna ask about the kindergarten enrollments. Are
Yeah.
they kind of where they usually are, or?
They're down, even from last year, which was down a little, so we're studying that a little bit.
I was expecting they'd be up.
Yeah, we didn't have that many, other districts had a number of families hold their kids out of kindergarten because of COVID. We didn't have great numbers of that, so we're not seeing that have much impact. They're just down a little, and I think that fits what we projected for enrollments.
Yes.
And yet we're still looking at, back in the spring when the numbers started coming in, we were definitely going, oh, these aren't down. But they rebounded a little enough at the row that we're adding the section back, and we're just gonna keep an eye on it.
As a sort of dovetail off that, and as a follow-up on the Carlisle report, our K1, our lower grade numbers are higher than usual. Even we had a number of families who held back a year for kindergarten, but we also had an influx of new. So we have even more than anticipated, given that. So.
And we'll definitely bring you a really nicely compiled State of the Union here as the summer winds down as to where it really lands. Erin's very busy with families coming in and we have to always look at that with the exits too and see how it balances out.
And then, it sounds like we might wanna put a meeting on the agenda in the middle of August, I think, just definitely to give people. There's
Yes.
just a lot of stuff, right?
Yes.
We've got the DEI, we've got
Yes.
the interim director, we've got changing
COVID,
landscapes.
Yeah,
Before the school year really gets up, I think it's great to have an opportunity for the community to be apprised of what we know. And
Agreed.
hopefully we do know stuff, but
or we'll have to make decisions one way or the other. I totally agree, we need a meeting somewhere middle of August, would be great.
So maybe the 17th.
maybe the 17th. Yeah. Is that doable for people?
Let me check.
I am out of the country, hopefully. But can certainly zoom in.
Okay.
17th is fine with me.
Are you out of the country in a place where it's better to Zoom earlier in the day or later in the day?
And no time change, so I would say earlier.
Okay,
And we do have a meeting on the 24th, is that correct?
Well, we had the workshop, but I think, right, the 24th is our workshop, or we can change the 24th to the meeting.
That's really close to the beginning
Yeah,
of
I think the
school.
17th
I think the 17th is
That's-
wiser.
and we're not sure about the workshop
I'm not
date?
sure about the workshop.
Okay, so stay tuned on that one.
Yeah.
So that's a fluid date,
And
24th?
Tracy, how long are you out?
I'm gone from the 14th to the 21st.
The 21st. Oh, I see. Okay.
And then we have the college drop off.
And, oh, yes, that's what that's.
I've
yeah.
got 2 college drop-offs the following
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, I would
We'll
feel
see.
more comfortable moving the workshops
Yes.
later,
Mhm.
just also because there's just a lot else going on with that.
It's a very busy week for us.
It's a busy week for everybody, and we've got a lot of stuff that we really we wanna focus on,
Okay,
because
So we're looking at September.
yeah.
for a
So that's-
workshop.
So it's not the 24th unless there's a reason that we have to meet.
But we
Again,
want
there's a
that to
reason,
be
But,
in person, and that's the only
Yeah.
work we do at the workshop, so.
right, yeah, so.
So I'm gonna chuck the,
So help me out. I had on my calendar workshop in the afternoon and then a 5 PM meeting, but I may have imagined that. Or we're scratching everything for that day, August 24?
Yeah, I would keep the 24th. I mean, if for some reason we need to have another, I don't think
Meeting.
there's gonna be any real follow-up stuff. It's not like last year, but so right now the plan is to not have any meeting on the 20th.
Thank you.
We do
So
a meeting
the
scheduled
17th.
for August
We
31st.
do have the 31st, yeah, so 17th and the 31st, and that's. Okay, and then, are there any other questions?
do we have a time for the 17th?
I would
TBD.
say,
Could I propose 8 AM?
that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
There we go.
All right. Okay. Anything else on the superintendent's report? No. All right,
So you
school
wanna
committee goals,
share?
I wanna share, I need to have screen sharing. Picture.
Can we do it? Do the sections?
Looks like I have it, so you should.
Screen.
To the chairs, we have Mr. Reed waiting in the audience. Do we at some point want to move his item up?
The CCHS trips. Sure.
Just out of courtesy?
Okay.
Great.
I move that we, let's see if I can, see if I can find it here. I
Number
move,
9, item D.
I move that we move item, is it item 10, item D on my agenda, am I right?
Oh, yes,
I have 10B.
I have my old.
Move item 10 D to precede item 9, discussion school committee goals.
Second.
I second it.
All right.
So welcome, Mr. Reed.
Hey, how are you?
Do we need a vote or are we okay to move?
We did not vote.
You cannot vote.
What?
Roll
Roll call.
Anderson,
Booth, aye for both.
Morano, I for both.
Ms. Scott, I for both.
Mustafi, I for region.
Rating aye for both.
call. Wilson for region.
Now we can start. So our first trip is the football camp Cedar preseason trip. Mr. Reed.
Just
Yeah, thank you. Sorry,
go ahead.
can you guys hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, there's like a little bit of feedback on my end.
It's unfortunately because you're being broadcast to us and we've got mics that then.
Yeah, I think the feedback is just the setup. So Josh, if we can hear you very clearly, if you don't mind, just go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you for having me. It's great to see everybody. Sorry, I'm not in person. You would not want my 4-year-old running around the conference room right now. So this is just great to see everybody back. So the trip that I actually went up there yesterday to take a look at the facilities. This would be a trip that I'm proposing for the football team that is grades 10 through 12. And so we would be going up August 23rd through the 25th. And really the main focus around this is, the team building aspect of it, not being able to be together as a team last year definitely was a challenge for a lot of people. And I think, a lot of people that I've talked to, other coaches that do trips like this find it very valuable, not only for leadership skill building, but also for team chemistry and for an opportunity really to kind of kick off the year with a lot of focus towards what we're working towards. And for us, the kind of the protocols that we've set out for the kids is, around safety. We'll have an athletic trainer that'll be there with us for the duration of the trip. And also, the expectation is that we follow all MIA guidelines while we're there. And I would imagine based off of the current enrollment, I would say it's probably going to be anywhere between 45 and 55 students going. And there will be 8 coaches that will be there. In addition to, there will be camp staff that will be there. The director of the camp will be there. In addition to, we'll have lifeguards and then just general staff that are there for general supervision. The idea is that we're going to travel up Monday morning via school bus, and then the bus will leave and we'll kind of be up there solo for the duration of the time. We're not leaving the grounds. Nobody. We're going to drive up just because we have equipment, so we're going to drive some of that up. So we'll have a couple of vehicles on campus, and then also have access to a van. And then the idea is that we're up there, and my goal is to get cell phones and all that stuff stays in kids' bunks, and we're really focusing on just us as a team collectively and getting to know everybody, and do a variety of team building activities. And there's a lake that is right on campus, or it's a pond. So I'm happy to answer any questions and whatever you need off from my end.
Josh, is this the first time for this venue, for this location?
Yes, that's correct.
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, I wish you well with it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a beautiful spot. I went up there, I drove up yesterday. It's about a 2.5 hour drive. And it's just such a great, this is kind of what they specialize in, is it's a sports camp. And so there's, it's one of the fields is right on the lake, and it's really cool setting for the kids.
So what do they say? The state bird is the mosquito. If they can suffer that, they can handle the season very nicely.
That's really the main goal, mental toughness over, keeping all the bug bites away. So.
Then We have another trip.
We have another trip that is listed as girls varsity team bonding trip that I think we should change to girls varsity soccer team.
Yes, it's the soccer
Bonding
team.
trip.
And this is an annual one with the exception of COVID year. They've gone 6 years now. This will be the 6th. Longtime coach Pete Fishalis takes a group of girls up to New Hampshire, and they're looking to repeat that trip as well, about 24 kids.
So I'm certainly very pleased with these. If it's not premature, I'd like to move that the Concord-Carlisle School Committee vote to give approval for the 2 overnight trips as outlined, with the condition that a signed district liability waiver, MIIA, is received from all participants.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Right.
With thanks to the coaches, of course, and best wishes for a safe, successful venture.
Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Back to normalcy. Our kids.
That would be nice.
Anderson, I for Regent.
And
Yeah.
Booth, aye.
Morano, I.
Mustafi, I for region.
Rainy eye.
Wilson, I for region.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And now we can move back to
Goals.
the goals.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank you,
Josh. Thank you.
See ya.
Okay, so to begin our conversations about goals, I have synthesized a bit of what I've heard back
Can you make it bigger?
from. I make it bigger, yes, and hold on. I'm moving this over. Well, we'll start, let's kind of go through where we were last year. So I put out our goals and our actions from last year, and looked at sort of how things carry over into this year. So I'm just going to say that aside from our work, our annual work of the budget, of policies, of the evaluation, and contract negotiations, the items that really stood out from everybody were concerns and questions, and hope to do serious work on issues of the DEI and on special ed. Those were the big ones. For COVID, I did put a little thing there for COVID, because at the very least, we have hopefully takeaways from COVID, right? And what we have learned. And you know, and that we need to be adjusting protocols and policies in response to public health recommendations. But I didn't hear, nobody said anything about COVID. So,
Funny.
so if people have thoughts on other COVID things.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it, because Dr. Hunter mentioned it as well. This stays on our radar.
Yeah, and definitely there are things that we've learned over the operations streamlining, curriculum enhancements, innovation, that hopefully people will get to actually try in less COVID times now. Then for for our budget, right? We always have to have a sustainable budget that supports the core values and mission of our schools. And really this year, I think one of the things that was standing out is a review of the community use of school facilities to understand facility fees and associated costs and revenues. And then other than that, it's our regular stuff, but okay. Then we have policies. Policies is pretty much the same work, always new policies, but essentially, that one, okay. Superintendent evaluation, Heather and Alexa did a great job last year of really forming out a good timeline for the evaluation, and so I hope we can work off of that, and we can find people to shepherd us through that practice this year. Community engagement, communication and transparency. One of the things we did that I think we could work on a little bit more this year was virtual coffees, listening sessions with the community. We have a lot of really serious work in front of us, and we need to hear from people on a regular basis of how the process is going, and because I think we're going to be, as Lori said the other night, right? Like the DEI, it's a journey, right? It's a journey, and so if we need to shift the path a little bit or take another, we need to circle back or whatever it is. I think I don't think we want to get too far ahead before.
The feedback loops are going to be really important.
Really
in some of
important.
the topics you're working on. No question.
I think special ed is a journey. I even think this building's a journey, or it will be for a little bit, you know.
Yep, exactly.
I think these are.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. So cultural competency. One of the things we didn't get to so much last year was the evaluate, training, and develop goals for continued growth and cultural proficiency amongst ourselves, really. And so that, I'm sure, we need to support, we've heard that people say we need to support the new DEI position in the district. We need to understand, define, and communicate the scope and mission of the DEI. And I imagine that there are some other fine tunings, but I think that maybe the DEI subcommittee, should it be put in place, can also help kind of shape our goals on that front. Okay. And then contract negotiations. Look at last year. And
Were there two?
look at this year. Yeah.
Tutors and transportation.
I have high school tutors and transportation staff.
Congratulate yourselves for what you did last year. It was extraordinary.
Can I make it bigger? Is that better?
No, we're good.
Okay. And then for special education, some of the things that I heard from people were along the lines of taking a deeper dive into special education and programs, specifically looking at what services we have and what we'll need moving forward, if we're moving to servicing more kids in district, and to help frame job responsibilities and expectations of a new sped director. Those are some of the things that I've heard from people.
And there's a new lens on it, obviously, so,
And we'll have to work with superintendent
Yeah.
to have a search committee and hire.
yes.
Yeah.
So.
So that's, yeah.
Sarah and Cynthia, if I'm correct, we are to consider this in effect a first read, and we're going to be
Yes, this is
going
a
back to this.
draft to set the stage.
So
Because
thank you for putting this together. I would hope that on special education, we could note what will necessarily happen anyway, and that is that we as a school committee will be working with the new CPAC leadership as part of what you state here. And then finally, these are all outer facing goals to some degree. And I think we need to be mindful that we've got our own internal goals as well. What does school committee efficacy look like? What does a good high functioning school committee look like? And it doesn't necessarily need to show up here. I know we look at it when we work on our norms and our protocols, but for the public, I would want to note that that goal is not absent, even though it doesn't appear on this particular list. Because every year we have a new school committee. As soon as there's an entry or an exit, it's effectively a new school committee, and we need to reform and really agree on what reforming and superior performance for the citizens of the two towns should look like for a school committee.
And I might advocate to that effect, Court, I might advocate for the focus of our workshop to be on that kind of stuff, less on an outside facilitator guiding us through the charting the course kind of stuff. Because Tracy, you'll do charting the course if you haven't yet done it. But the rest of us, we have, so I think our work in our workshop is really to understand how our work, how we align that with these goals, with the special education, with the DEI, with policies, with the building committee. I So that's where I would want to focus our efforts in the workshop, more of a team building kind of thing, to understand that we are moving in a direction together, and to make sure that everybody feels that they've contributed to those goals and to that.
And embedded in school committee efficacy, I think also is our understanding of what the best possible relationship is with our superintendent.
Good. Yep.
Yep.
That's kind of critical.
Yes, yeah, thank you.
And I know that's embedded in here, but just for the record, I think it's worth saying. Thank you.
Yeah, I think with all these things, we need to really understand our charge, right? What are our responsibilities? What is the scope of our work, right? And how can that fit with this? Because we all have passionate ideas as individuals, as parents, as community members, right? But that is not necessarily, there's a difference between our personal stake in these things and our civic responsibility in these matters.
Yeah.
One informs the other.
One informs the other,
Yes.
but we need to be clear on what it is that what is reasonable to expect of us, what is reasonable for us to expect of the administration, and what's reasonable for just the relationship between us and everybody else.
Well said.
I just wanted to add one more item to this list: communication and information flow. So we're not bogging down our administrators with multiple requests or repeated requests, because if I have certainly, as a school committee member over this past year, I have gained tremendous respect for the amount of work and the spectrum of the work that gets done by administrator, by a superintendent. And I just want to make sure that, I'm trying to be as conscious of how I communicate, how many questions, even email responses, not necessarily, I acknowledge, but I don't want to send those emails, because every click is a minute of our administrator's time. And we really want her to focus on things that are important.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I've added that. I think it works nicely with Court's message about efficacy. Right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because being efficient ourselves is understanding efficiency in others and respecting other people's time. Yeah, thank you. That's great. Thank you.
I had not over this. I had another item that I would like to add, but it's not on the list.
Is it the dual enrollment?
It's college preparedness
Yeah.
and application.
Yeah, and I'm not, This is the list of our non-operations, right? This is our,
Right.
What we're charged with. So that's a conversation, I think, that's.
Right, so my question was, because it seems like last year we would focus more globally over both of over information flow over both schools. Can we have a little time spent just on the region? That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Navigating.
And last year was very, very unusual year.
Yeah.
I think that she wants some time to address some issues on the region side that's separate from.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is, yes.
So Mike's gonna be coming in with his
Yeah.
school improvement plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
And
we'll
that'll
spend
be
some
good.
time with
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
there for sure.
Yeah.
But I think we have to be, I don't think it's a good idea to just have a blanket coffee with Mike kind of a thing. I mean, we need to have agenda items, they're specific.
Right.
Yeah.
So we
And
know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And he knows what he's coming to talk to us about, so.
Yeah, and to whatever extent we can get questions to people in advance.
That is really helpful.
Is really helpful, or to what extent we can listen to conversations and take notes and then have a follow-up conversation at a later time, I think will help us be a little more efficient.
But to your earlier point, we have to be careful to know what we do the school trips because that's part of our policies. But if we're talking about curriculum or offerings, we have to be careful, we don't really have.
We don't have,
You know.
Purview.
Yes, and sometimes it's distinguishing things you wanna hear informationally, which we understand, and
Yeah.
things you're actually gonna participate in.
Right, that's,
Yeah,
I'm
but
not sure.
keep balance,
It's back to that-
informed and engaged.
It's just back to that balance of as a concerned citizen or parent and as a member of the school committee and
Right.
remembering where those lines are and
Mhm.
remember, we are not operations,
Mhm.
right? That's not, all right, we're not curriculum.
but we inform those
But
things
we
with our
inform those-
policy
right.
and our
That's right.
budget.
Yes, yeah,
All right.
okay.
Anything else?
And special ed was the one that wasn't so much on our
Mhm.
radar last year. And so, yeah, I think that's most of what I heard on there, yeah. I think that's where we are on goals right now. And I think we'll shape this a little bit more
Yeah.
in our workshop. That'll be part of our work.
And everybody agrees it can wait until then, I mean, I think it can.
Yeah, last year we didn't do it till late October, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right.
We're not even in August.
And it's nice to have some ebb and flow where I see where you're going as the school improvement plans are gonna get tightened up. We're gonna be building our own goals. I'll be bringing ideas about my goals, like it's nice it's got a little time for percolating before we all put things to formally agree down on paper.
Okay,
All right, and if anyone has any thoughts, I'm happy to keep synthesizing and.
maybe you could send that out to the committee.
This document, yeah, I will send this out to the committee. And then there'll be the link, so.
Good,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Public document. And that is all I have on goals for today, so I think we can go to action items.
Yep.
All right. Have a motion to accept the CEF grant donation.
Can you just stop the screen share?
Yes, I just realized I was doing that, so,
Thank you.
thanks.
We had the good fortune of meeting with the CEF reps recently, and I think we can extend our great gratitude to them and all of the people involved in the community who supported CEF. That said, I would move that the Concord and Concord-Carlisle School Committees vote to accept a $57,820.59 grant donation from the Concord Education Fund.
I'll second that.
Miranda
Okay.
seconds?
Discussion?
Well, just this, that we, I think, would benefit from an updated list of the grants that are going to the districts. I think we saw it before, and I'd love to see a current copy of that coming from the superintendent's office, if she'd be so kind.
No problem, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So roll call?
Anderson, I.
Booth, aye. This is for both. Booth, aye for both.
Morano, I for both.
Mesdat, I for both.
Mustafi, I for region.
Rainy eye for both?
And Wilson for region, with many, many thanks to the
Many
CEF.
thanks, yes.
And many thanks to the families that support the CEF.
Yeah.
Community members, everyone, thank you. Now we have a vote to surplus books at CCHS, so this will be a region vote.
We have received the memo. It outlines Latin books in particular that are no longer used and have no value. I move that the Regional School Committee vote to approve the removal of the materials identified in Mr. Mastrullo's memo of June 17.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussions? Roll call?
Anderson, I for region.
Booth, aye for region.
Morano, I for region.
Mesdat, I for region.
Mustafi, I for region.
Rainy eye for region.
And Wilson for region. Thank you. The vote to approve the FY21 trust fund interest distributions.
To the chair, I don't recall this in previous years, so either before or after the motion, I'd love to hear a quick history if Mr. Stanton or Dr. Hunter could share that with us. for example, the cycle by which these monies flow toward the schools?
So this is meant to be an annual. We did the research to realize we probably missed one formal approval, COVID fallout, I think. So this is a long time standing. You can see 1878.
Yes.
Cyrus Stowe bequeathed the schools this money, and we're drawing the interest. Jared's office, upon your approval, it goes to the gift account at the high school. And so we have done it. We pulled the dates. It's been very regular up until, I honestly, we had to go back and research. I didn't recall it either. It's been so patterned. It's just been routine up until we stopped doing it. Now we're all trying to remember that we have done it in the past. So I don't know if there's more to say on that, but we're very grateful. What a great gift and on time impact.
I'm going to guess that when we're on Stowe Street, we should remember Mr. Cyrus Stowe and his beneficence. I move that the Concord-Carlisle School Committee accept the donation of $1,800 in accordance with the 1878 bequest of Cyrus Stowe.
I'll second.
Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. I mean,
Really?
people talk about things in perpetuity, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Anderson, I for both. Or
Booth, aye.
Morano, I.
Mustafi, I for region.
Rainy eye for region?
And Wilson for region.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, we have done the trips, and so now we have a vote to approve appointments. No, we did the community representatives. We have finished our action items for the day, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn the Concord-Carlisle Regional School Committee meeting at this time.
With Concord to stay in session.
With Concord to stay in session.
I can move that. And we need
I'll second.
Roll call.
Anderson, I.
Booth, aye.
Morano, I.
Mustafi, I.
Rainy eye?
And Wilson, I.
Mhm.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the Concord School Committee is staying in order. Our first item of business is we need to formally approve the capital planning task force recommendations that the select board has already approved. So there's a rather, I'm not going to go through the slides. There, summary recommendation.
I'll shove this in.
So
Shove this in.
if you have,
Yeah, it's one of the slides attached to it.
It's on the agenda.
yeah, I'm saying, if you go to the slide deck and you go to sorry about this. A little background on capital planning. We met as a group a lot of times over the last year, even during COVID. And our charter was to find a way to get the schools in the town to work together on sequencing and understanding what very large projects are in front of us. So outside, we know we have a middle school underway, but there are other very large projects at the town side that also need to be sequenced in here, and so that the public has a better understanding of the coming debts, the coming expenses, and the tax implications. So basically, we put together and recommended a structure and a time frame for this work to happen. We will be meeting jointly with the select board. We have set those dates. I will send them to her because we should add them to our meeting calendar at their select board meetings. I thought that would be a little less complicated for us because this is just a Concord School Committee issue. and they were very willing to come to our school committee meetings, but I thought just trying to do all with the regional committee and, not having people sit around too much, that we can, probably best to just zoom into their meeting and do our work. So we have dates for September and December, I believe. Those are our commitments. And then the finance committee will have a hearing with the town manager and superintendent. So it's basically a platform for the community to participate and elected officials to participate in the process. So we've always had I would say, not very large project capital plan. And I don't anticipate us having any other very large projects in the next even 10 years. 20 years, that's not the outlook. So we basically, I'm just trying to think, is there a motion other than, so I'll just drop and say, is there discussion about this, or, is there any confusion, or do people understand the purpose of the work that we're going to be doing this year with the select board and most of the select board?
I think it's a commitment publicly to follow through.
Yeah. So I think it's a great joint effort and maybe a good template for us to work together with our select board.
Cynthia, I thought the work was very credible. It's going to prove very helpful. I think the slides were what I needed to inform me, and I think within those slides it spells out school committee's continued role. So thank you for your work on that committee, and thanks to the entire committee.
I think the first year will probably be a bigger commitment because we need to sort of put all this together. But I don't think it's going to be it's going to be interesting work, and I don't think it's going to be lengthy commitment. But we'll see. We'll see how that flows. So I'll entertain a motion to approve capital planning task force chart.
Their recommendation.
Recommendation. Thank you.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second,
Okay, roll call, please.
Anderson, I.
Booth, aye.
Morano, I.
Mesdat, aye.
Rainy, aye. All right. And now we move on to approve the Concord Teachers Association agreement. Mr. Booth, we have the motion in front of us, but I thought you might want to say a few words about how.
Yeah, I do. First of all, I want to thank the Concord Teachers Association for their work on this and their collaboration with the school committee. I want to thank the administration for their participation. I certainly want to call out Denise Zahn for her scribing and coordinating on behalf of all the parties in the room. We thought that was most helpful. The memo that you have from Dr. Hunter references a 2.5, 2.5, and 2.75 COLA over the course of fiscal 22, fiscal 23, fiscal 24. This does happen to conform with the CCTA agreement. And in addition to the COLA, there were a few other items. One was stipend updating that was done some months ago, most of it interrupted by COVID, but thankfully mostly completed by the time COVID interrupted things. Then next on the list was occupational therapists, a small number, I think 3 in number, have been moved into the unit. We have more detail now, next item, in regard to 250 minutes per week of planning time and how that will be apportioned out around specials. Next item is significant, and it was the one that was the most challenging for all the parties, and that was longevity, where the CTA sought something comparable with the CCTA in terms of a percentage-driven longevity arrangement, and the school committee did not see fit to follow through with that. We did, however, put together a package based on dollars, not percentages, not percentage based, that has a year one number, not unlike what it is now, and then a escalation further in year two, and it tops out in year three with dollar figures that are quite comparable to CCTA, but critical to us. These are dollars and not percentages, so they're not forever escalating, and we can then chart and predict future costs. Notwithstanding that, the task in front of us is a sobering one, because we have to manage these increases in future years, both COLA and longevity combined. And it puts us in a what I'm going to guess a 3.5 to 4% range before we look at offsets elsewhere in our budgeting. So that's work that's before us, but the group that worked on this, your representatives were Cynthia and myself. We are guardedly, cautiously optimistic that we can pull this off, and we are very enthusiastic about the fact that this shows the kind of support to the Concord teachers that we think will accompany the considerable demands and expectations that the school committee and the community put on our teacher ranks. So with that, we endorse that part of the package as well and bring it before you today. Those are the items in the negotiation agreement. And in addition to that, a little bit of a simple housekeeping cleanup language. Do I have it all, Cynthia? Do I have it all, Laurie?
Oh, that's an excellent summary.
Yes.
Any discussion or questions about that? No?
That was a lot of work, guys.
Well, we do want to thank Kate Squires and her entire team. Kate Squire, it was actually a tough experience, as all teacher negotiations, school committee negotiations are, but very collaborative to the extent it could be, in spite of the fact that we do represent our constituencies in different ways, of course. I would move that the Concord Public School Committee vote to approve the Concord Teachers Association 3-year successor agreement for the period of fiscal year 2022 through 2024, with the COLAs as described and the other details. And if anybody wants to dig deeper, these are available to us, of course, in full detail, that all of which will be incorporated into the larger contract for adoption.
Correct. You get it all right?
I would second.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, we'll go to roll call.
Anderson, aye.
Booth, aye.
Morano, I.
Mesdag abstain.
Rainy, aye.
Through the chair, if it's appropriate, might I ask Fatima the reasoning behind the abstention? Only, I certainly respect your decision, but I'm particularly keen on our norms that have decisions inform us, and I'm not sure of the rationale. So if I could learn that, it'd be helpful. I know what an A means. I know what a nay means. I don't know what an abstention means, absent a bit of what explanation or clarification, please.
Yes, thank you for asking the question. It's not a nay, because I do want to recognize our teachers and all the staff that support our students and families. It is not a yes, because I think it is a burden on our taxpayers. The overall package, I think, is a burden on our taxpayers. So I'm a little bit concerned about that in the long run. So in between those two positions, I chose to abstain.
Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that concludes our business for today. And, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Anderson, I.
Booth, aye.
Morano, I.
Mayside, aye.
And Rainey, aye. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Thank
bye.
you all.
Thank you.